Hey, 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 here we go. Are you guys ready? Oh, got my two screens going here. Let me get set up so that we can rock and roll today. Okay, not that one. Uh-oh, what do we got? An issue going here. See if I can get my slideshow going on our buyer presentation. We're going to start here in 1 second. Wanted to make sure I got my screen shared with you guys. And where did y'all go? There we go. Oh, got to move my window here. Technical issues. Come on, let me have it. We're gonna rock and roll here in about 30 seconds. Come on. There we go. All right, now I got you back. All right, so let me share the screen here. Share my screen. All right, I think we're set now. Woohoo! How's everybody doing? All right, we're talking about buyer consultations. I'm gonna open the chat box up just in case you have any questions you can ask, but we are gonna roll through our material. And I know I just sent out a reminder too, so we'll see who had buyer consultations right now or listing appointments that couldn't make it and see who does make it. All right, here we go. So we are talking about elements, session 5, which is buyer consultations. Guys, we're going to cover a lot of information just again at a mastery level on how to get the buyers locked into you, some best practices that I think can get you to be their top of mind choice when they get ready to buy, so that you are the one that they call and you are the one that they check in with. So as we're going through this probably last run of this version of Ignite, where we break down all these little pieces, we have a whole new version of Ignite coming out. So everybody's waiting to see what that looks like. And that will probably be the next run that we have once I find out when they're starting that run. So we do have all of these recorded. And I would strongly encourage you to go back and watch each piece, especially if you have a listing appointment. Go back to last week's session where we talked about the seller appointment, how to lock up that listing appointment. If you're talking to people and they're buying houses without you, go all the way back to the very beginning and look at value proposition. Look at, what's your why, the very, very first session, to master finding out what their why is. If your phone's not ringing consistently yet, and or you don't have a list of people that you've been feeding into command every day, go back to, I believe it's like session number 3, the third session, Spark 3, where we talk about the database. The database is your gold mine. In fact, if you'd like an evaluation of just how successful your real estate business will be, contact me and I can basically tell you about how many deals you'll do with the list of people that you have if you continue to do things the way you've been doing them. If you start plugging into the things that we've talked about on creating a master list, finding address and phone number, and then you call 5 people out of that list every day and you feed your database 5 people a day, I can tell you exactly what kind of business you can expect to get in 3 months and 6 months and then a year and for every year after that. It is absolutely predictable. When you're consistent and persistent and you're feeding your business every single day with new contacts, it is a predictable business. So today we're going to jump into the buyer presentations and getting listings, but we're really actually just talking about the buyers today. And it's basically getting an appointment set with a buyer. So the first thing I definitely want to tell you about on getting the appointment set is, without a buyer agency representation agreement, you're going to spend a lot of time doing a lot of work and we don't get paid until they write an offer on a house, buy a house, it gets accepted, and it closes. So there's a lot of work that a real estate agent does all the way up until the closing, and we're the last ones to get paid. So one of the things that I would caution you from, that I personally learned early on in my career, and I heard this from top agents, they said, the Pop-Tart realtor is the one that a call comes in, we're sitting in front of a house and you pop up and run out there. First of all, in today's world, and actually any world, it hasn't ever been really safe to do that. You can put yourself in danger by being a Pop-Tart realtor. So definitely be careful when you go out and have safety measures in place. But really, the other thing is, talking to just team members and everybody just running out and showing properties, you get paid nothing unless they write an offer and buy that house. Unless you're on a salary or something and somebody's paying you to go around and show houses, that's a different story. But typically we're paid on commissions. So you actually don't get paid until you sell them a house and get it closed. So it's always good to get them in for an appointment and explain the benefits of having someone represent them, right? So I will tell you this too, part of setting an appointment, let's just set this whole stage straight. Because what you're going to want to do is, as soon as somebody calls in and they ask about a house or ask how much a house is, you want to set an appointment. The reality is most buyers probably are not even at the stage, especially if they're internet leads or anything like that just came in, you captured them fast. They probably, most of them, like 95 to 98% of them, haven't gotten pre-approved yet. They're just starting the process. They don't know what they qualify for. Do they have any money? I mean, if they don't have any money at all, I'm telling you, ask this question. How much have you saved up to put down on a house? And when they say, oh, just starting the process and I haven't saved any money at all.
Hi, how are you?
I can tell you right now that is not a potential buyer that you should be showing houses to. They got to have some money.
Yeah.
Do we have a question? All right. I'm going to mute. Oh, go ahead. Did I unmute you? You can unmute yourself if you have a question. All right. Okay, I think that might have been some background noise there, but that's all right. That's what we're here for. Anytime you guys have questions, just unmute yourself, come on and ask a question. Don't wait for me to take a breath. Just kind of jump in or raise that little yellow hand on the side and let me know. I can see you all, that I can see if you had a question that you wanted to ask. So the opportunity for the appointment is not necessarily right when you're talking to them. Because when we say qualify a buyer, we're finding out, have they been pre-approved? Do they have money saved up for buying a house? And if you're new to real estate, I mean, even in front of that, here's the best question you can ask to get the conversation going. Just because I know when it happens and you're caught up in the moment and you got a live one on the phone, right? Just ask, where are you in the process? Where are you in the process of buying a home? And they'll tell you right there if they're looking, we just started looking, we've been looking for a rental. Well, there's no reason to have a 3-minute conversation with them if they've been looking for a rental. If they say that up front, then it's like, so have you thought about buying a house or have you been pre-approved? That's the second thing. Have you gone and talked to a lender to see how much money a bank would give you? Did you hear how I said that? So a lot of times, here's another thing I'll tell you is that you don't want to talk in real estate lingo all the time. See, we're around real estate every day. So have you gotten pre-approved? I'll send you properties on the MLS. Need to get a CMA on your house or a value, right? It's called CMA, comparable market analysis. All these real estate lingo terms to the consumer who's not in it every day, they don't know what it means. So when you say, are you pre-approved? A better way to say that might be, have you talked to a lender yet, given them your personal information, and have they told you how much house you can buy? Takes a little longer time to say it, but you're going to get a lot better answer if they actually understood what you asked, right? So the key point that I want to make here on setting an appointment is that 98% of the time, 99% of the time, your follow-up after your first initial conversation is going to get you the appointment. Do you guys hear that? It's not about setting an appointment right then and getting them to come into the office. You're still a stranger. They don't know you. They don't know if they like you or trust you, but they don't know you yet. You haven't earned that spot yet. So, I mean, how many of them are really going to just hop out? How many of them are going to be Pop-Tart buyers and just hop in their car and run over and meet you for this secret formula that you have for buying a house? When you can create that, and you might have to create that over several connections, and that is the follow-up, follow-up, follow-up. I'm going to pause here for a second because I'm going to tell you, if you're fairly new to real estate, you're going to hear the word follow-up so much and relationships so much that you're going to miss how important they really are and what they really mean. Follow up means consistent, persistent follow up. Pick up the phone, call them, check in on them. Any buyer who has started the process to buy a house should not only hear from you once or twice, let alone once in every 3 months or whatever. Somebody who has started the process, and or that you, if they say they haven't gotten pre-approved for a loan yet, and you're going to introduce them to a lender, should probably get a call from you every week, right? Schedule that on your calendar or use command and create a smart plan for an active buyer that will flag a call every week. You want to see if they're driving by properties, if they're getting the list of properties from you, that you're going to set them up on a search inside the MLS, right? Have they come in and met with you yet? Have they signed a buyer agency yet? So that would be a buyer client that now you're doing even a little bit more work. But until they come in with you and sign a buyer agency and understand how you can help them find a home, then you might just have them on an MLS search, sending them properties with a phone call once a week to say, hey, have you been getting properties this week? And they say yes. And then you say, have you driven by them and checked them out? And they say, no, it's been a pretty busy week. Okay, well, I wasn't sure what your time frame is on when you wanted to buy a house. And if they go, oh, no, we want to buy a house pretty quick, well, then they have to be driving by properties every day. So I get to kind of reconfirm that. So anyway, it's about the follow-up. In that follow-up, remember, they go into the funnel. You got to capture them. Once you get their information and you get them on the phone and you have a conversation with them, I would say the automatic item that happens after you get them on the phone is that you actually verified their phone number, which you're talking to them on the phone, but you need an address if you want to send a handwritten note. This is just Brad Korn, but I'm telling you, if you write every single person that you meet from this day forward or have a good conversation with, and you can master asking them or verifying their address or finding their address, and you can send them a note after the initial connection, your life is going to be so much easier, because that's where you're capturing them into the funnel. And then you're either like dripping on them because they're a lead, trying to convert them through sending them MLS properties, or you're cultivating a relationship where you're actually talking to them. They're telling you their life story. They're telling you when they want to move. They're going to get pre-approved. All of that stuff is in that cultivation phase. And then that kicks it out into an appointment, gets them turned into an active buyer, gets them to write a contract, and gets them to a closing so you can get paid. So that is all going to happen over a period of time. And you can control that time by what you're sending them, how often you're staying in touch with them. I mean, if they're serious about buying a house, then the next thing they should do is get pre-approved within a day or two. Once they're pre-approved within a day or two, you're already sending them properties in MLS. Once they're getting properties from you in the MLS, are they driving by them? If they're driving by all the properties you're sending and they just haven't found one they like, that's an okay thing. You don't have to go show them a house if they don't like the outside and you've sent them everything that's on the market that they're looking for. If you're not showing them something within a month and they're ready to buy and they're pre-approved and they're driving by properties, then maybe your search is missing some stuff. So the point here is that you got to get them into command so you can cultivate them into these appointments and ultimately a closing. All right, so let's talk about that capture just for a minute. I'm going to actually go back to the screen. Let me just pause for a second, see if there's any questions that anybody has about anything so far. I mean, hopefully you guys will just jump in if you have any questions at all. When we talk about capture, I mean, this is a real live buyer intake form. I say real live, but I mean, you can see my chicken scratch notes everywhere, right? So the blue form is for the buyers. This is just my suggestion so that when this call came in, and this one was a referral from realtor.com, it looks like. Yeah, it was just a referral from an agent that they got them off of realtor.com. So when the agent called and said, hey, I have a buyer that I got off of realtor.com that just came in, I'm going to find my blue sheet here. And on that second line there, it says, where did it come from? So I'm going to find blue for buyer or yellow for seller. And I just started filling it in. It was Thursday. It was August. Started filling in. Once I got the person on the phone, I'm like, hey, I just wanted to verify some things. I got their name, obviously, and I may have had their phone number, but I probably had to get their email and their address. So you can see on here, I didn't get their address. I was trying to pull up their address, but for whatever reason, they didn't give it to me. So I could not send a handwritten note, although, yep, and there we go. Right there, no note was sent because I couldn't get an address out of them. But I did put them into the database. Got them recorded in the database. We got their phone number. Now I could use fastpeoplesearch.com, which I probably did to see if that address was there, but I could not get that out of them. So they're just going to go. This would be, when you're looking at this screen, a lead. This would be equivalent to a lead because they're just going to go on an email drip plan. I don't have an address, so I can't send them a note. Who knows if they're even looking at my emails that I'm sending them, but I'm going to have phone calls built in there that I will actually be calling them, checking in. Are you getting the properties? Are you driving by? And then I'm going to work again towards getting that address. So this was a photocopy. We probably did end up getting this person's address at some point, and I probably did end up sending them a note. But we use that intake form, which is in your books. You've got several of them in some of the past sessions that we've done where the intake forms are there for you to get that name, address, phone number. All right, so on page 14 in your Elements script book. So wherever you download the scripts from on the Google Drive, you guys should all have access to that. If not, just email any leadership in your office and ask for the link to the Ignite manuals. There's two script books. There's a Spark scripts book and there's an Elements script book. Those two books cover most of the scripts that we have throughout these sessions, and would be great if you actually did your homework and you got a little pocket-sized notebook that you've been carrying around with you, that anytime you're talking to anybody about real estate, and if they are not buying a house or they're not selling a house and they don't give you their information, write down in that book what was the one thing they just said that got them off the hook, so that you didn't get them in for an appointment, or you didn't get them to sign a buyer agency, or you didn't get them to list their house with you. Whatever that is, that's called an objection. Then you can just pull up your script books from Spark or Elements, and you're probably going to find a script or two in that book that you can use. There are, if your office has been around for a while, there are some old ones. Somebody actually just came into our office today and asked for the 3 big binders. There's like 3 monster big binders that have every script you can imagine in it. And I know that they've tailored those down to the ones that are most used. But man, that if you have some of the old resources in your market center, that's a crazy book when you get that one and see all the different scripts. But it's actually irrelevant. It's not going to help you to go through 3 big binders this big each looking at scripts. It's going to be more important if you've got an objection written down in your notebook and you need to go find a script that you could use, or find 3 scripts that you could use. That's what I would suggest that you do. So in that, preparing for the buyer consultation, first of all, you're going to have a bunch of stuff in command. Command is going to give you all the pretty stuff when you're preparing for a presentation or you're preparing for a listing. You've got to set aside some time to go in command and just click on some buttons. You're not going to hurt yourself. It's not going to give you an electric shock. You don't have to know what's in there. You don't have to figure it all out first. Just go in there and click around. But there are presentations for buyer consultation and seller appointments that you can get right out of command. So you just want to take an hour to work on your business and go in and figure out what's in there. So under the designs in command, and what you're actually going to be looking for is to match your value proposition. So the style, the information, whatever's in there should be matching your value proposition. Now, if you skipped value proposition when we went through that in the Spark section, then you can go back to it. It's either like Spark 2 or Spark 3 or 4. One of those is database, one of those is value, one of those is what's your why, and one of those is goals. Those first 4 Sparks are critically important to how you're going to gain people's trust, likability, your likability, all that stuff, and create the value that they would want to work with you at some point. So definitely go back and work on your value proposition, and or if you have to work it in reverse and find some styles you like and you haven't figured out your value proposition yet, maybe those things will list out when you're reading them. If you like them, that's pretty much your values, right? How you do business or how you are as a person. So you're going to probably find some value propositions there. But you definitely need to set aside some time to do that. Again, this is not a command class to teach you how to use command and how to find stuff in command. I mean, hopefully you can just click around on some buttons and get there. And if you're lost, somebody in your market center is your tech go-to person. Somebody is. And all you have to do is ask at least 1 or 2 or 3 people, and one of those 3 people will know who your tech person is, right? But they give you everything, like the table of contents on what's in there. It gives you all these little topics and stuff that just by looking at these, you're already kind of seeing what kind of value you can bring the buyers on, preparing them for the market. Their dream home, you know what? This is just one of the questions that we do in the consultation. It's like, if you were to find your dream home, what exactly does a dream home to you look like? What is your perfect dream home? Now, in this market, they're probably not going to find their dream home that has everything they want in it, but we want to know what that is so that we can expand the search from that and find more things, or a property that might have some or most or all of their dream things in there. In fact, listen to this, hear this. Whenever you're talking to somebody about their dream home and they're starting to tell you what they're looking for and what price range. So if they haven't gotten pre-approved yet and you got that conversation started, another way to ask it is, what's a comfortable monthly payment for you? And they might be able to relate that from rent or whatever they've got every month that they planned on spending. So then you can roll that back up into what price a house. You may not know all those numbers right now, but you'll get better at it and you'll start to understand them. And that could be like, I don't know, $2,000 a month might be a $300,000 house. You can actually talk to any lender, like if you have an in-house lender in your office or you know somebody who's a lender, ask them what some of the payments would be on a $300,000 house and a $600,000 house, just so you kind of know. Sure, taxes make a difference and all this other stuff. There's other factors in there, but generally speaking, it's not going to be that far off. So this will give you the conversation, like when you pull up these presentations and it says their dream home, you don't have to read this stuff, right? That's something you can leave with them, but just it's your trigger to go, so what does your dream home look like? Let's see if I had any notes here. I wanted to make sure. I will tell you that if you're going through this part and you don't have a buyer's agency agreement signed with them, there actually have been some studies done that if you have 10 buyers and 10 of them sign a buyer agency, you'll probably sell 8 of them a house. 2 of them, something will happen and they'll end up not moving. If you have 10 buyers and you don't have any buyer agency signed, you might sell 4 people a house. 4 out of 10 versus 8 out of 10. It's a difference between getting a buyer's agency and not getting a buyer's agency, right? Okay, I think that's all I have there. Any questions so far? Anything about the presentations, where they are in command, using command, asking questions when you got them at the consultation? All right, build your preference and profile, establishing your standards, uncovering more expectations. So this is just another, again, it's just another page that you can get in there. When is the best time to reach you? What is the best way to reach you? Is it email? Is it call? Is it text? You want to ask these questions so that, like, there's a lot of people that text. And I've always said, you're not going to strengthen your relationship by emailing and texting. But when you're sending properties or they're sending property addresses to you, whichever way they communicate, they're going to be looking for your emails if it's got a property attached to it. They're going to be looking at your text if it's got a property attached to it. You're also having them, I mean, what I do is I set up and say, let's get my phone number in here, save me under realtor. Any property you see anywhere that you want information on, you text me that address and I'll find out if it's available. So it's like you have one source. You can text me any address, any property, anywhere, and I'll find out something about it. How you do that if you're new to real estate is we have a lot of resources available. Tax records are one of them, past MLS history, any of that stuff will make you their go-to person that you can find that stuff. One of the things that we do here on this process, and also like your home wish list, we go through all these things, is we actually set up an MLS search for them. My main goal with any buyer at all is to find out kind of an idea of what their perfect house is, and also what, you know, if they had to rank everything, where does it rank on how important is this thing? Because in this market, you might get 4 or 5 out of 10 of your favorite things, not 10 out of 10. So if you've got a picky buyer, you got to be able to say, listen, I understand that you're saying you're a picky buyer. There is a shortage of homes in the market. There are not a lot of homes available. Today's market, if you're going to find something that has 10 out of the 10 things you want, just know you might be paying $100,000 to $200,000 more than the property is worth. Because if it has all these things in it that are perfect and you like all 10 of those things and only those 10, well, of all the other buyers out there, they might like 8 of those or 5 of those or 4 of those. So everybody's going to want that house that has all the extra stuff in it. Sometimes in this market, you might have to give up 3 or 4 things, and don't be afraid to say 3 or 4 or 5 things that you want in a house just to get in a house in this market. And a great script would be, if you don't find one in this market and the rates go higher and the values turn around and start dropping, and you wait for that 10 out of 10, you might be buying a house that's dropping in value and paying a higher interest rate. So if you get a house now, maybe it's your stepping stone. You can have this conversation. Maybe it's your stepping stone in between this and your perfect house, so that you can build up some equity in this one, enjoy the home, and you can even sometimes add the extra things that are missing. So I'm just having a conversation to figure out how wide can I make their search. But here's the part I want you to hear. Get them set up on an auto search in MLS, everybody. Even when we talk to buyers that they haven't started the process, they're just starting to look, they haven't called the lender yet to get pre-approved, we still have the conversation with them. So like, if you did move, what would be the perfect house? Where do you want to be? What kind of price range do you want to be in? And we set them up on an MLS search. I'm just going to send you properties in the area you talked about that kind of match what you're looking for. And until we get you approved, just consider this keeping you plugged into the market. So you know what's coming on the market, what's going off the market, things like that, right? So you're educating them on the market. But that's like the piece I will tell you. Make sure you're getting them on an MLS auto search, because that's automatically sending them real estate stuff. And it's not you blasting them with real estate stuff. It's you sending them real estate properties that they love looking at. They're going to look through the pictures. They're going to look through the stuff. And what you're doing is you're programming them to think real estate all the time and see everything hitting the market, that they're going to be calling you more often to ask questions about properties. All right. They're also in Command. You have the neighborhood insights. This is another like absolutely cool thing, whether it's a seller or whether it's a buyer. If you will start them on neighborhood insights, where you plug in the subdivision names or the neighborhoods that they're interested in, the system will automatically send them updates and market updates on what's going on in that neighborhood. It's going to send them the new listings, what the average price range is, what the average square footage is. And again, what you're doing is it's no different than that auto MLS search. And this is done through Command, is it's sending them information on the properties they're interested in. So even if they're not a buyer right now today, but might be in a month or 3 months or 6 months, you still can put them on this insight thing to keep the neighborhood and keep properties in front of them and keep them thinking of all this stuff. I mean, that Command has everything. It takes them through the whole process. How does it work when we actually find a house and we decide to buy a house and all that stuff? See if I got anything on my notes here. Again, any questions, jump in anytime. Let's see, set up for the last buyer you worked with or the current seller prospect. Oh, so if you haven't played with this, go set yourself up. Make sure you're always, like, whenever you come up with a campaign or a follow-up plan, or you're going to do a neighborhood search or whatever, put yourself in. So just set yourself up on a neighborhood insight for inside Command for yourself. You can do that today, so you know where it is, right? If you've got time blocked out to work on your business, go in there, find it, put yourself on your own neighborhood, put your family members on their neighborhood, right? If you're going to use a smart plan to follow up with buyers, put yourself on the smart plan. See what that looks like when it comes out. So put yourself on it now, so you're getting stuff when it's kicking it out. You could put a buyer on it tomorrow or a week from now, and you're going to be a week in front of them. So you'll see what's coming out to your buyers as you're working with buyers. You don't have to wait till the plan's done to put them on a plan. You can start using it right away. But so it takes them through the home buyer process. I mean, I feel these are some of the disclosures. They're different from state to state, but if you have people that rent space from you, these are the people that you do business with. You got your value and your value proposition. This is where you can edit this. If you did your homework, you can do that. If you really want to take action on your real estate business, and if you're listening to this and you do not have a consistent flow of business yet, you may not have even determined what your value proposition is. You may or may not have started your master list. You may or may not be actually talking to people every day about real estate and feeding them into Command and starting them on a smart plan. Guys, I'm it. I'm number one. Send me your value proposition. Let me look at it. I can help you with it. If I think it's awesome, I'll tell you. And if I think you could add some more stuff to it, I'll tell you. Put me on the smart plan that you're going to put a buyer on. Put me on an MLS search. If you were going to do your neighborhood or your favorite search, put me on it. Set me up on a search and let me experience it. You should be experiencing it as well, but put me on it. Just do it today so you start using all this stuff. Everything that you're building, this list of things that sound awesome in these classes, start it with you, your family, and me, right? Maybe even your leadership in your office if they don't mind that, right? So send it to me. All right, conducting the buyer consultation. I'm going to pause out here and just see, if you guys are tuned in. I mean, I hope you're picking up some stuff. In fact, maybe I should check in and make sure everybody can even hear me. I'm assuming that you can because you're still here.
No, we are.
Go ahead. What's an aha or anything you've gotten out of the session so far?
I really love the idea to set up our family and ourselves on the neighborhood search and the MLS auto search so that we can experience what exactly our prospective buyer would be getting.
Yeah.
So I would do that right now.
Yeah. Great. So have you made and I got to assume, because some people have been in here for a while and some people have not. Have you started a master list, or do you know what I'm talking about when I say master list? Have you heard me share that?
Yes, I have, but I haven't, I have a few contacts in my command.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Yeah. So just keep working on every single person you can think of that knows you in your community. Don't worry about whether or not they're a buyer or a seller right now. Just pick up the phone and talk to people, check in on them, see how they're doing. They're going to ask you how you're doing and what you're doing. And you're going to be able to say, I'm in real estate. And then you could say, if you want, do you have any real estate needs right now? You can, but you don't have to. They're going to come up anyway if they are. But it is about talking to people every single day so that you can set up a search. So listen, this is a perfect thing to kind of capture what I've said so far. Everyone you talk to, you don't have to worry about whether or not they're buying or selling right now. They might buy sometime in the future. So throw it out there and say, hey, if you were going to move, when would you move? When would you want to move? And where would you move to? And then you ask, why is that important to you? Right? So now I'm finding out, well, if I were going to move, I'd probably move to, the north side of Jersey, right? Well, why would you move to the north side of Jersey? Oh, my parents are really up there. They're getting older, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. Well, no, I'm obviously, whenever you have any question about any property up there, let me know. Rather than saying, oh, let me show you properties up there. They just said they weren't moving. They said, in the next year or two, we're going to have to do it. This is the difference. Right now, get them on an MLS search for that area. And just say, well, that's awesome. One of the things I do for people is just start educating them on the market. And I'm going to set you up on a search in that area just for properties, not because I think you're buying or selling right this minute, but because you might be. If this will actually, you'll be able to see what's coming on the market, what they go under contract for, and start educating yourself on the area so that in a year from now, you know the area better than most real estate agents. By the way, guys, that's a script, right? And I say guys, I mean everyone, all of you, that's a script. That is a script to say, I'm going to get you on an MLS search so that you can educate yourself so that when you do get ready to go there, you're going to know it better than most real estate agents. Because most real estate agents are new. 60 to 80% end up getting out after a 3 to 5 year period. So it's because they didn't figure it all out. And in fact, you might not even know all the areas that you're servicing. It's the same thing, right? So when you set up auto searches on the areas that you're working in the most and you're setting yourself up like you would a buyer, you can start familiarizing yourself with different areas or different neighborhoods. Great stuff. Thank you for sharing that. So conducting the buyer consultation. I mean, guys, there is a full-blown buyer presentation. I like to say consultation versus presentation, but it walks you through the whole process from A to Z. The way I usually say it is, you know, hey, when do you have like 15, 20 minutes? You could pop in the office and we can just go through the whole entire process of buying a home. We'll go from A to Z, everything you need to know. And this is what I want you to write down: to take advantage of the current market conditions. So when can we get together for 15 minutes? I'll go through the whole process, A to Z, so you know the whole process of buying a home and what it all entails, so that you can take advantage of the current market conditions. And when you say that clearly and they do trust you or like you a little bit, I'm telling you, they're like, take advantage of the current market conditions means getting more offers accepted or finding a home that maybe isn't on the market yet. All the things that we've talked about through these previous sessions, which if you don't remember all those, go back and watch some of the recordings. You might have to go through these recordings like 5, 6, 7 times, and that stuff will just start setting in there. But going in a 5-mile radius, 50% below where they're looking, and go back 5 to 10 years on solds, and you can get a list of properties that would be their perfect home if you put that into your search criteria in MLS and you search the perfect home and go back 5 to 10 years around 5 miles around where they're currently looking. And if they're looking for a $400,000 house, look for stuff between 150 and 250. That's going to be a list of homes that match their perfect home that are not on the market yet. And if you click and go through the history of each of those, you look for the ones that have not moved in the last 5 years. So when I go back 5 to 10 years and look at solds, there's a bunch of them, really probably half of them or more have moved since then. So those we got to take off the list, because that means the new buyer hasn't been there 5 years yet. Now, if they've been there 3 years, I might still call them because they might be starting to think about moving. But the point I want you to get here is you print off a copy of this buyer presentation or the whole A to Z process, and then you're going to show them how to take advantage of the current market conditions. You actually don't even have to go through all the bulleted points. You're just skimming some of the stuff because all they heard was take advantage of the current market conditions. So all that stuff is there for you. That's probably one of the most amazing, most professional things we have in command. But there is so much stuff in there. You're just going to have to set aside some time and really go in and review it. All right, again, there's scripts in the script book, the Element script book on all the different buyer consultation type scripts. I'm going to hit a couple of these here. So here's one that scripts with working with buyers, right? So that's in your actual script book. And let's see, I highlighted a couple of them. Let's meet at the office so that while you're out reviewing other properties on our multiple listing service, or you could even say the computer system that the realtors use, you might be interested in Maple Street. A buyer willing to talk with you. So that's a buyer that called on a property. So let's meet in our office. So when you go by and review these properties from the MLS, you might be interested in Maple Street. And I can pull up more information for you. For a buyer referral willing to talk to you, right? So if they're talking to you and they're opened up to you, when we meet at our office and decide if we can work together to make the most of your time, I can use the tools I have to find the best matches and check for contingencies or other offers or other details that would not be apparent to most people that don't have an agent working for them. So that's how you take advantage of the current market conditions. I will say one of the things in the buyer presentation / consultation that I like to end with is the set the stage. Like, I realize that you don't do this, but every maybe 5 or 10 years, right? So buying and the market changes, the way things are done. We have different forms today than we had 5 years ago. We definitely have different technology than we had 5 years ago. So if you bought a house and it's been 5 years or longer, the process changes all the time. And we'll show you how to take advantage of the current market conditions. But also it's just that we want to make sure you have fun. Add the word fun. Buying a house should be fun. If you only do this once every 5 or 10 years, it should not be a painful, stressful experience. Now I'm going to stop there because I'm just going to take a stab and a guess that if you're newer in real estate, you may not have the confidence yet that you know everything, and you might still be trying to figure everything out before you even talk to somebody. Stop that. You're going to figure it out as you're doing it, right? But that confidence level of knowing what to say and when to say it and how to be the best resource for them, just the fact that you're on this call already makes you better than most real estate agents in your marketplace. You don't have to know the answers to everything. You just have to know to go to somebody in your office and find out who does know the answer, so you don't have to make it up. But the real thing is that when you want to show them how to take advantage of the current market conditions, and you can actually get them in the office and they're sitting down with you, ultimately you want to get that buyer agency agreement signed. So we'll go through kind of a little bit on the buyer consultation and getting them signed. First of all, you're building the value behind having a real estate agent represent them. In that presentation, you're talking about the A to Z, right? So one of the things that we have, that I have, you want to say that I have, is an app that you can search for anything by neighborhood, by price range, by whatever on this app, and it's free to you, to my clients, right? So you'll have that app to find the properties the minute they hit the market. So we're kind of going through these different things of how you take advantage of the current market. And let's see here, what am I on here? Collection saved homes. Oh, so when they're using the app, it's saving the ones that you like. It's showing me what you like. I can go get more information about the properties that you actually find interesting, right? And it aligns that guide. It customizes their guide. You can customize their guide to print out the things that you want it to print when they're pulling up properties. So one of the things that you're going through this process, so you have the app, you have the instant notification from the MLS sending you the properties that they're hitting the market. There's more in there when you're finding the different presentations, depending on how detailed you want to get. I would pick the 2 or 3 things that match up with your values, or that match up with what you feel confident explaining, and let the book be the rest of it. Because you can get into inspections, you can get into when we go look at a house to make sure you have your checkbook so we can write the earnest money checks. We can get into a lot of different things, but I would talk about the 2 or 3 things that you are most strong on. You don't need to talk about the 99 things you're going to do to help them buy a house. Ultimately, we got this app. You can search for properties. We got this stuff. I got you set up on a search inside the system that the realtors use. It's going to send you the newest properties the minute they hit the market. You have my text number, so you can text me any address that you find anywhere, and I'll find out more information on it. Those kind of things. Once you've kind of gone over that, and you've got them a little bit excited, you've got the actual, this is in your script book, the close for the application, right? Or the agreement, I should say. The close for the agreement. And this is the part where I want to say that you don't have to understand everything that's in the buyer's agency agreement. If you talk about the app, you talk about saving, you talk about texting me the properties that you have interest in, you talk about the instant notification program. Here's all you have to say. Guys, write this down. This is the magic script. So can you see how it would be a benefit? So can you see how it would be a benefit to have someone looking out for your best interest? Doesn't matter what I cover in the consultation, doesn't matter what I cover in the presentation. The book can be as thick as you want it to be. You highlight 2 or 3 things, but you say, so can you see how it'd be a benefit to have somebody looking out for your best interest? And when they say yes, great, this form allows me to do that right here. Just sign that. I usually don't say sign. I usually just hand them a pen and say, this form allows me to do that. And I'm just point to where their signatures are. So if you have any objections to that, let's just say you followed this to a T, you get to the end, take advantage of the current market conditions, you get to the end and you say, so can you see how it'd be a benefit? And if they say, well, yeah, but we just want to look everything over. All that means is you haven't mastered the script yet. And maybe the value didn't show up as much as you needed it to during that consultation. And that's going to happen when you're newer because you're not confident in yourself, right? And you don't know all the things yet that you don't know. So all you have to do is write down what they said. Man, this is great information. We actually would like to process it before we commit. So that's what I would write in my script book. Great information, but they wanted to process before they commit. So now what I'm going to do is go through all my script books and look for what did they say when they need to process it before they commit. And I would find 2 or 3 scripts that you could say right after that would maybe use next time. It's not going to help you for this time. It's for next time. So that next time you can get them to sign on the dotted line a little quicker. So that script, and honestly, that script right there might be, maybe I didn't explain everything as detailed as I thought I did, or I haven't figured out what's most important to you. And maybe I haven't addressed that yet. So that's how I would reopen the conversation and go, what have I not covered that you're most concerned about? Well, it's just like, we got to sell our house too. And we don't want to be homeless. And so we're just going to process this and figure out how this whole process works. It's like, oh, great. No, I appreciate that completely. So let me just kind of put you at ease. See, now what I've done is I'm going back in for one more close. So if I can gain that trust on, let's just say, selling first. My specific script is in 30 years of selling real estate, nobody's ever been homeless. It is amazing how it all works out, that the buyers will find a house that they can move to, or they have other options available to them that they close. I've never had anybody like sleep on the street because they sold their house too fast and couldn't find a house to live in and they became homeless. It's never happened. So it's all going to work out fine. So maybe by the time we go through that a little bit, they would be like, yeah, maybe we're overthinking this a little bit. Well, so now I might have a little more conversation around that once I got their trust and I've taken that. So if you knew you wouldn't be homeless and you could start this process now, what's that look like? It's like, yeah, we probably were overthinking it. Great. So now can you see how it would be a benefit to have somebody looking out for your best interest? So if I get no, we still want to look it over, then there's more objections out there. Eventually, if you can eliminate those, and there's usually only 1 or 2, they'll say at the very end, yeah, I mean, we really can see. Great. Let's get this going. Let's find you a house. Okay. And they sign it. Right. So I realize that when I'm sitting here in these sessions, that it sounds easy. It really is just writing down the objections, going to find the scripts that you can use. I'm just seeing if there's any other scripts here. Oh, here's one. Well, what if I change my mind during a 30-day period? Let's just break up. There's no need to divorce. I mean, you can just, I have control over my contracts. We can just cancel the contract, right? But, having somebody look out for your best interest is going to be important. And, I want to do a good enough job for you that you would refer your friends and family to me. All right. We can go on and on and on about hundreds of different scripts, but is there anything with any buyers or any consultations that you've had or that you think might happen that you would want any more direction on, or is this kind of what you needed just to put it into perspective so you can start looking at scripts more and paying attention to that stuff? Has this been a good session?
Yes.
Great. And if we've helped you kind of get a little more confidence to be in front of the buyers and to ask for that consultation, then really I have done the job I was set out to do. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the chat, if I can get my cursor over there, there we go. I'm going to put in the chat the, if you will just click on this before we end the room, click on it, it will open up another tab and go through and just give a quick survey on the class and the content and what you liked, and what you got from it. What is your aha that you're going to take away from it? Because that's what keeps me being able to come back here and share some of these things with you and help you work through the process of getting listings, getting buyers to sign, etc., and to be available for you guys. You know, you can, oh, that's the other thing I'll do is just in case you haven't put me in your phone yet, you got my cell phone here, 816-215-3214. You also have my email. I'm just out selling real estate every day like you guys are, so I can definitely answer any questions. I've had lots of people that have gone through Ignite classes and asked questions and asked where to find stuff and get their business going. So I'm available for you guys outside of these classes as well. All right, just remember, no class on Wednesday. We'll be back together on Friday. All right, any questions? Okay, another great day. Hopefully you got some good information and you got good things to say on the survey. And we will see you in a few days.